I took a walk out here in the desert today. I wanted to go to the mountains. I love the forests up there, but I didn't have the time. I love the desert, but the mountains are my favorite. I'm wearing my hiking cap. It's a little warm today. Anyway, keeps the sun out of my eyes. I wanted to share briefly with you about a subject near and dear to my heart. Many years ago, I was an undergraduate student at a university, and I was an engineering major, and I had to take all these gen ed classes and things like art history and astronomy and that sort of thing, in addition to my engineering courses. And one day I got to the lecture hall early, and it was at a theater on the campus, and I sat out in the lobby because inside, behind the closed doors, there was an astronomy class going on. Or not an astronomy class, there was a music appreciation, classical music class going on. The class I was going into when that class came out was an astronomy class, taught, by the way, by Claude Tombaugh, the gentleman, the professor who discovered the planet Pluto in 1930. Anyway, I had to wait until the lecture on classical music came out, and I sat in the theater and I leaned against a wall, took a deep breath, and the next thing I knew, it was 20 minutes later. I didn't fall asleep. I got caught up in that music coming out from that auditorium. Classical music. I vividly remember, I saw charging soldiers on horseback. I saw battles raging. I saw people rushing to their homes to protect their loved ones. I saw this big scene play out. It had nothing to do with the music, necessarily, or the story behind the music. But the music elicited the images in my head. It was wonderful. I learned something about art. I told my students for many years that art is something that lifts up the soul. It, in one moment, steals your breath, and the next, it invites you to take a deep breath and celebrate. Art is wonderful. All forms of art. Music, operatic, classical, pop, rock, all of it. Painting, sculpture, any form of art, theater, any form of art you can think of has the potential to transport us. But better than that, it has the ability to kind of lift the weight off our shoulders. I tell my students all the time that they should go to an art gallery. Forget about whether you know anything about the artists, and forget about whether you even understand the Renaissance period or the classical period or the Baroque period. Forget all that. Just walk around and look at all the art pieces. Pull it in. Spend a couple hours. I guarantee that when you walk out of the art gallery, you'll feel different. It'll be a wonderful feeling. The same as going to a good opera, a good concert, a musical production, same thing. By the way, artists for many years, painters for example, have attempted to capture perfection. Perfection, they believe, could only be found in many centuries, could only be found in God's creations. Trees and hillsides and waterfalls. And that's the reason that you see a lot of those paintings that are looking out across this great expanse, vistas, valleys, rivers, waterfalls. It's because artists believe that the best art was when you tried to capture, you couldn't replicate, you couldn't duplicate it, but tried to capture perfection. And nobody did more perfect art than the Creator. That's the reason you see so many nudes. It's not because people wanted to look at nudes, but it was because a nude, the human form, is God's creation. It's perfection. And that's the reason for it. When you stifle art, you darken a community. There was a period of time after the Soviets came to power in Russia, for example, when they stifled art. You want to be a dancer? You got to get approval from the state. You want to sing in a choir? You got to get approval. Playwrights, Ibsen, Chekhov, all of these composers could not freely create and share their art with the world. They'd get permission for an orchestra or a ballet company, Russian ballet, to go visit someplace, and they had defections because they had to go back home. And those artists wanted to work freely. So I worry sometimes about that in our society. Art scares power. It scares power because all art, all good art questions. It asks the hard questions. It seeks the hard answers. And a lot of people in power don't want you asking questions, and they don't want you looking for answers. So art scares them. The singer, the lyrics, the painting. Those expressions of the human experience are frightening. Try to find leaders, politicians or otherwise, that celebrate the arts, that love the arts, that collect the arts, that participate in the arts. Do you know that more people go to art events? You're going to find this hard to believe, but it's true. More people go to art events, ballet and opera and musicals and theater and choral concerts and across this country than go to all the sporting events. It's true. And do you also realize that if you take a child, statistics show it, you take the child in, say, grade school or junior high or something, you expose them to an art, have them play a musical instrument, have them sing in a chorus, have them take art classes. If you expose them to art, they will do better later on in higher education in the sciences and math and complex concepts. They grasp them better if they've had that artistic experience early. And if you want the numbers to be even better, make sure that they're part of a band or a choir or a class of art students who share their art with an audience. They sing in a choir on a stage in front of their classmates, or they are in a marching band. Have them perform. And if they perform their art, show their art, share their art, they'll do even better on those subjects that come later in higher education. They're better human beings. Do you also realize, by the way, that years ago, Harvard Law School was turning out, some still do, some of the best lawyers in the country. And they were getting great paying jobs, $250,000, $350,000 maybe, to go to work for a prestigious law firm. But they began to realize that these lawyers, although they were very good lawyers, lacked something, you know? They gave them the money. They could buy the sports car. They could buy the condominium. They could buy expensive clothes, but something was missing. So they made it part of the curriculum, all new law students, Harvard at that time, to buy a season ticket to a cultural venue somewhere, like, you know, a season of opera or a season of musical theater or just regular theater. Buy a season ticket and attend every performance. They started turning out students who didn't just buy expensive cars and nice houses and do good law. They got people who got involved in their communities, joined the PTA, took their kids to art events to have the same exposure and experience. Art opens a part of you in your brain, in your whole being, in your spirit, that is nothing but positive. Amazing. I hope you have a great day. Don't let them take away your art, your novels, literature, the books, the paintings, the poetry, the singers and dancers. Don't let them take it away. Because if they do, a piece of you will die too. All right. Have a good day. Oh, gotta go. Gotta hike. It's getting hot. Again, next time I'll try to take you to the mountains with me.